You are a Kashmiri Pandit. Your family was part of the Exodus. Do you have any memory of your life in Kashmir?
I remember the great things about Srinagar, my school and going to Dal Lake with the family or going to Pahalgam, And then I remember there was a blast below our house. Sitting and playing cards with my cousin brother. We were playing this game called Bluff. And all of a sudden, I just remember being thrown off. You couldn't hear anything. I just remember I saw just smoke and glass shatter. But it was all visual. Like I remember it was like a film scene. I remember like going upside down and seeing all of that, and then there was just darkness.
Where were you when you heard about the attack on Saif and the whole jamburi that has gone around it?
The first thing was, is he okay? And none of the chatter made any sense. As family, what I woke up to a call at like about 6, and it's very weird how fear works.
So how was it
in
with
different
you?
ways. I had to break this to her. We were getting our daughter ready to go to school, and you just had this information and nothing else. So to kind of how to put this across, am I supposed to send my daughter to school right now or not? All of those things were kind of playing on my mind. It's not like that the city is unsafe. I mean, these are those one or two incidences that will happen. We'll have to be careful. You can't say that, the city is safe so I can lay down in the street with jewelry and nothing's going to happen. So we have to protect ourselves and our family to the best of the ways that we can.
Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching or listening to another edition of the ANI podcast with Smita Prakash. This episode is being filmed in Mumbai. My guest today is a child of the conflict zone. His parents and he relocated from Kashmir in the 1980s when there was an exodus of Kashmiri Pandit family. His parents acted in the famous TV series Gul Gulshan Gulfam. But Kunal Khemu has had a fascinating career, from being a child actor in Raja Hindustani and Zakhm to leading cult favorites like Go Goa Gone and Loot Case. Let's talk to Kunal Khemu himself. Thank you so much, Kunal. May I call you by my first name?
Please do, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks. Then you call me Smita. Then don't ma'am me if I'm going to Kunal you.
I'll stick to Smita ji then.
Okay. You are a Kashmiri Pandit. Your family was part of the Exodus. Do you have any memory of your life in Kashmir during that conflict stage?
I do. I was born in Srinagar. I lived there for the first couple of years, and then I used to come because my dad went to National School of Drama, and then he was working in Bombay then with Shyam Benegal on a show called Bharat Ek Khoj and Yatra and all those things. And I remember that we used to keep going back and forth, but then because I was studying there, so I remember nursery, junior KG वहाँ हुई थी, senior KG I think Bombay में हुई थी. फिर फर्स्ट स्टैंडर्ड हम वापस कश्मीर गए थे रहने एंड दैट्स व्हेन द टेंशन स्टार्ट ब्रूइंग देयर बट बिफोर आई गेट इनटू दैट यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड फॉर मी इट्स फ्रॉम अ पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ अ 6-year-old and that's how I saw it. I remember the great things about Srinagar, my school and going to Dal Lake with the family or going to Pahalgam, and then I remember them being stressed because as a 6-year-old you don't really know what's happening and your parents and your family is trying to protect you as much as they can, but you still hear about things, right? Like you would one-off hear something. I remember there used to be this thing ki if you heard a loud sound, there was always this confusion ki kahin cylinder phata hai ki bum phata hai. So I remember like that as a chatter sometimes. I remember there were times where at night for some reason you wouldn't turn on lights because there was a risk of a stone coming into the house because maybe it was declared that lights are not going to come out in this evening. And then to top it all, the one harsh experience I remember was there was a blast below our house while we were in the house, and I remember...
Where were you, Habakatal?
No, we were... Habakatal was where my parents, my father's side lived. I think we were near Nehru Nagar, or... I remember this was very close to my school, Burnhall, which was like 5 minutes away from there. There used to be an ice cream factory just opposite. I remember that also. And there was this blast, and I remember sitting and playing cards with my cousin brother. We were playing this game called Bluff. And all of a sudden, I just remember being thrown off. You couldn't hear anything. I just remember I saw just smoke and glass shatter. but it was all visual. Like I remember it was like a film scene. I remember like going upside down and seeing all of that, and then there was just darkness, and then my memories of like waking up at some point, and it's weird. I can't even say if it was terror on people's faces because there were people just running around. And I remember it was our house at some point. One of the rooms, the floor had opened up because I think the explosion happened just below, and then the entire street was filled with people. But weirdly, as silly as it, I remember in the evening, the only thing that I was looking at was like our area was on the television, and people were talking about that, and everybody was calling home. So I was like, we were being made to feel important. And so it's like, that's why I said the perspective was of a 6-year-old. And there were times in Habakadlo also, sometimes when stone pelting would start, and then the army would come, and I remember my other cousin and I would like look through the windows and not understand what was kind of transpiring. So for me, what happened is, after that, and after we left and we came to Mumbai, not knowing that we wouldn't be going back, and we were still trying to figure out, I think our parents kind of did an amazing job of kind of sheltering us from it. But at 6 and 7, you always heard people talk about it, and you saw people getting emotional about it and stressed about it, and you knew something was wrong. And I remember there used to be this VHS of news track that used to cover a lot of this, and of course nobody would let us see it, but sometimes in passing, somebody is watching it and people were getting emotional and all of that. So I think somewhere as a kid, I kind of wanted to put a block to that, and that's why even while growing up, I never actively tried to pursue of what's going on, what happened, why did it happen, because I thought that when you're a kid, those questions may be like, okay, you don't get involved in this maybe, and then anyways when people were discussing it, you saw that it wasn't a pleasant thing. So I think somewhere I kind of build that wall to not ask those questions, and whatever information is coming my way, I will try to understand that, but I've not gone digging deep to see what is the actual problem, when is it going to get solved. And of course I've been in rooms where people have discussed and debated and everybody has their own point of view. I have not gone trying to look for solutions, because I just thought that this is something which kind of makes at least the near and dear ones feel some kind of pain, and they've kind of guarded us from experiencing it, and that's where it is. And I think, I don't know if it is that, but I haven't since gone back. My parents have, my sister has, and I don't think I don't know what it is, but like sometimes some things happen. Like I remember once I wanted to go, but then those massive floods happened there, and we just couldn't go. And the only time I did kind of drive through Srinagar was when we were shooting for a film called Kalank, and we were shooting in Kargil. So we had to land in Srinagar and kind of drive through, and all I was most excited was about talking to everybody in Kashmiri, because I speak the language.
You speak Kashmir?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not very well, but I mean well enough to communicate with maximum number of Kashmiris, and I get very excited when I meet somebody who speaks the language. So I was very interested in like stopping over for a meal, but I didn't kind of end up spending a lot of time there. And again, like I've always made plans, but I have somehow not actually gone and spent a lot of time.
You don't need Kargil, you go to Ladakh for your bike rides, but not to Srinagar.
And that's the other thing. So once when I wanted to ride to Ladakh, and I said I'm going to go to Srinagar and get the bikes there, and we'll ride all the way from there. As luck would have it, Zojila Pass had a landslide and that road was blocked. So we were advised not to ride from there. So the bikes went through Manali and we had to directly land in Ladakh.
Jab hona hua hoga, I guess.
I really hope so, because otherwise, honestly, I only have the fondest and the most beautiful memories of Srinagar. It's just that when I landed this time, when I looked at the Dal while driving through, it somehow didn't match up to how it was in my head.
Yeah, that always happens. The childhood image is different and adult is different.
So I that's the other fear I have. Like, it's very beautiful in my head, the way it is. It
but
definitely
did your parents tell you that we have to move, or did they make it look organic? Ki hum nikal rahe hain yahan se? Did you realize, or did they ever talk to you about that move?
I don't think it was like that. I don't think we ever sat down to discuss what was happening. I think a lot of times when stress was happening, it was happening when you were around. So nobody was, I mean, they were trying to shelter you from it, but I think they also knew that you knew. And I don't know, maybe we never sat down and said, okay, this is what has happened. What are you feeling? I don't think that era was so much into discussing feelings.
You went to Bombay, right?
We came to Mumbai. Yes, we came to Bombay.
Straight from there.
Yes, because like I said, my dad was here figuring out his life, and then of course, then he settled down.
But
here.
he was doing Gulshan, Gulfam.
So that was being shot in Srinagar actually. That was also being shot there, which of course, during peak, just around the emergency time, they also had to shoot there, and then they built a set of those houseboats in Film City, and they concluded the show in Bombay.
I just wanted to ask you that, did you find families among your relatives like that who said कि हमको ये अपनी कश्मीरियत को जिंदा रखना है क्योंकि एक दिन वापस जाएंगे?
आई थिंक सो. मेरे ख्याल से वो पूरे विश्व में ऐसा है. जब मैं एक्चुअली व्हेन आई ट्रैवल टू अमेरिका ऑल्सो, मैंने देखा कि जो हिंदू परिवार या इंडियन परिवार जो वहाँ रहते हैं, दे आर मोर कल्चरली काइंड ऑफ ग्राउंडेड. मैंने इतनी ब्लैक एंड वाइट फिल्में बॉम्बे में नहीं देखी थी जितनी मैंने अमेरिका में देखी, या उतने हिंदी गाने शायद यहाँ पे नहीं सुने होंगे जितने वहाँ सुने. और वहाँ पर मैंने देखा क्योंकि वो अपने कल्चर से दूर हैं तो उसको प्रिजर्व करके रखते हैं. आई थिंक इट काइंड ऑफ ट्रांसलेट्स इन दिस ऑल्सो, क्योंकि आप अपने घर पे नहीं हैं तो जब आप दूर हैं आप बहुत चाहते हैं कि वो कल्चर, क्योंकि कहानियाँ ही होती हैं, जब आप कहानियाँ बताते हैं जो बच्चे हैं उन्हें सुनते हैं और फिर कहीं ना कहीं उन्हें एम्यूलेट करने की कोशिश करते हैं. तो चाहे धर्म हो, चाहे आपका कल्चर हो, चाहे रीति रिवाज हो, चाहे आपका खान पान का जो खाना जिस तरह से माँ बनाती हैं वो अपने बच्चे या बेटे को सिखाती हैं तो वो सीखते हैं. तो आई थिंक जब कॉन्फ्लिक्ट की बात आती है तो हर एक इंसान उसे अलग तरीके से देखता है. कई लोग उसमें काफ़ी बिटर हो जाते हैं, कई लोग उसमें से उभरने की कोशिश करते हैं. सो आई थिंक एवरीबडी हैज़ फिगर्ड आउट देयर ओन वेज ऑफ डीलिंग विद इट. सिमिलरली जैसे मैंने कहा कि एज अ किड आई सॉ डिफरेंट पीपल रिएक्टिंग इन वेरी डिफरेंट वेज.
हाउ डिड योर पेरेंट्स रिएक्ट?
माई पेरेंट्स ऑनेस्टली, लाइक आई सेड, आई एम वेरी थैंकफुल दैट मेरे हिसाब से दहशत जो होती है ना, उसका ना कोई नाम होता है ना कोई मज़हब होता है, वो दहशत है. अब आपको नहीं पता, जैसे मुझे नहीं पता वो बम किसने फोड़ा था, तो मैं किसी की बात सुन के ये नहीं मानूंगा कि ये इसने किया था या उसने किया. हमको नहीं पता किसने किया था. अब जब उसे पकड़ा जाएगा या उसका नाम आएगा फिर हमें पता चलेगा कि क्यों किया. सो लाइक आई सेड, अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स इफ़ यू कांट फाइंड द आंसर्स, then you either make your own answers or you spend time trying to find them out, or sometimes you say I need to move on in life and figure out from where we are.
Did you like it back in Bombay? Because imagine Srinagar.
Ji.
It's a different kind of a scenario totally. Your beautiful lakes, beautiful trees, lovely atmosphere, and then you come to Bombay, where it's a concrete jungle in comparison. In your memory, did that?
I think, see, like I said, I was 6, so for me, world was still kind of presenting itself. So I did have,
you have a sister,
an adjustment
right?
there. Yes, okay. She was born actually in 89, so that was when we did the move. But मुझे एक चीज़ याद है, मुझे लैंग्वेज का पंगा हुआ था थोड़ा कि हम उर्दू सीखते थे वहाँ पे, तो मैं उर्दू में ही बात करता था, तो बहुत अदब और ये. और जब मैं पहली बार बम्बई आया था और बम्बईया से मेरी आमना सामना हुआ था, तो मुझे समझ नहीं आया था क्या हुआ है. और मेरा थोड़ा मजाक भी बनाया जाता था क्योंकि हम आपसे मिलिए, आप हैं इस तरह से, और उनको लगता था ये अजीब बातें क्यों कर रहा है. और उनका था चाहला आई शपथ, और मुझे समझ में नहीं आता था ये क्या बात हो रही है. तो वो मेरा एक ट्रांजिशन फेज था लैंग्वेज को लेकर. बट अदर देन दैट आई मेड फ्रेंड्स रियली फास्ट. एंड
बट यू नेवर स्पीक दैट काइंड ऑफ लैंग्वेज?
Bombay, I pretty much do when I'm hanging with my buddies from there.
Okay.
But I have actually managed to adapt really well. I play to the audience and the crowd that I'm with.
That's nice. But what I mean to say is, like, whatever I've seen of yours, nobody can tell who you are or from which part. You could be a South Bombay lad. You could be a UP wala. You could be a Goa kid. You could be...
I guess I chose the right profession then. I can act to be any of those.
Okay, so... when I had completely forgotten till my team told me that you were a child actor at that time. I just completely forgot about it, that one has seen you acting as a kid too. Did your parents tell you to do that, like get into acting? Did it come naturally to you as a kid?
It was interesting because I remember, जैसे मैंने आपसे कहा कि पहले भी हम आते थे और पापा श्याम जी के साथ काम कर रहे थे, तो तब कास्टिंग डायरेक्टर्स नहीं होते थे. तो my father started assisting him and then became his associate, and at that time that position asked you to a lot, so he even casted for all of those things. तो मुझे याद है भारत एक खोज की कास्टिंग करते थे वो, और मैं एक बार फिल्म सिटी गया था, तो वहाँ पर आई थिंक महाभारत के एक चैप्टर का कोई बहुत बड़ा सेट लगा हुआ था कॉस्ट्यूम में, तो लोग आई रिमेंबर बीइंग ऑन दैट सेट लाइक जस्ट सीइंग ऑल ऑफ दिस एंड माय डैड ने ना मस्ती में मुझसे कहा था चल तेरे को भी कॉस्ट्यूम पहना के बिठा दें, और मैं भाग गया था वहाँ से, मेरे को डर लगा था, मैं कहा ये मेरे से नहीं होगा बिल्कुल भी. एंड देन आई वुड सी माय डैड एक्ट ऑल्सो समटाइम्स. और जब गुलगुलशन गुलफाम शूट हो रहा था, मेरी माँ भी थी उसमें, तो मैं सेट पे जब जाता था स्कूल वूल के बाद तो मैं देखता था सब काम कर रहे हैं, सो आई गॉट वेरी ओके विद दिस. और फिर मैं देखता था कि टीवी पे आ रहे हैं. सो आई रिमेंबर वेदराही जी वॉज द डायरेक्टर ऑफ गुलगुलशन गुलफाम, और मैंने उनको एक बार कहा कि मैं कैसे आ सकता हूँ टीवी पे, मुझे भी देखना मैं टीवी पे. तो ही सेट तो तू एक्टिंग करनी पड़ती है उसके लिए. तो मैंने एक बहुत छोटा सा कैमियो किया था गुलगुलशन गुलफाम में, और वो मैंने जब टीवी पे देखा तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा. और जब हम फिर बम्बई आए तब वेद साहब दूरदर्शन के लिए एक शो बना रहे थे जिसका नाम था चित्रकथाएं, और उसमें एक कहानी थी, वो एपिसोडिक था, जिसका नाम था झूठ का अलार्म, जो एक माँ बेटी की कहानी है, माँ बेटे की. और उसमें वो मेरी माँ को कास्ट कर रहे थे. तो उन्होंने मुझसे पूछा और उनसे भी पूछा कि यार ये सही रहेगा उसके लिए, एज करेक्ट है और इसको अच्छा भी लगा था और मेरे से कंफर्टेबल भी है, तो उसको पूछो करेगा क्या. सो अगेन माई डैड थॉट कि नहीं करेंगे, लेकिन वो उन्होंने पूछा मुझसे तो मैं कहा नहीं बिल्कुल, आई मीन वेद अंकल के साथ मजा आता है और टीवी पे भी आएगा.
Imagine saying Sham uncle and Ved uncle
Yeah.
to such legends.
I know. And then
You're blessed.
I even got the chance to work with Rishikesh Mukherjee and Ashok Kumar during that time, and I had no idea actually. So
Obviously
I
you
did those
baby.
and I thought that was that, right? और उसके बाद स्कूल होते थे, तो अब जो हमारी फैमिली थी थोड़ी, माई पैटर्नल साइड कैन मूव टू जम्मू, और जो मेरी नानी और मासी थे वो दिल्ली आ गए थे. तो हम छुट्टियों में फिर वहाँ जाते थे उनसे मिलने. तो जब एक छुट्टी में, रिमेंबर मैं 2nd स्टैंडर्ड में था शायद, छुट्टियों में वहाँ गया हुआ था, मुझे याद है मैं घर पे बैठ के अपने भाई और कजन्स के साथ दिल देख रहा था, और फ़ोन आया पापा का, ट्रंक कॉल से आया, और उन्होंने कहा कि यार वो एक फिल्म महेश भट्ट करके एक डायरेक्टर है, वो एक फिल्म बना रहे हैं हमारे प्यार के, उसमें आमिर खान और जूही चावला हैं और 3 बच्चे.
शाहरुख और आमिर?
दिल में तो आमिर खान था.
आमिर, हाँ.
तो उसमें एक अच्छा रोल है बच्चे का, तो तुम वो कह रहे हैं कि तुम्हें करना है. तो मैंने कहा तुम ऐसे तो नहीं करो, बट मैंने कहा पूछ लूँ एक बार. तो मैं दिल देख रहा था, मैं कहा तो मतलब टीवी से मैं स्क्रीन पे, और मैं फिल्में मुझे बहुत पसंद थी, तो मैं कहा मतलब वो बड़े पर्दे पे. तो उन्होंने बोला हाँ, तो मैं बोला करूँगा. मुझे कुछ नहीं पता था मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ, मैं 8 साल का था. तो अगले दिन मुझे फ़्लाइट से मुंबई लाया गया, और मुझे याद है इस्कॉन टेम्पल जो यहाँ जूहू में ही है, वहाँ पे शूट हो रहा था. और वहाँ पे हम पहली बार आमिर खान, जूही चावला, महेश भट्ट से मिले. डायरेक्टर क्या होता है मुझे कुछ नहीं पता, लेकिन जहाँ तक मैं आज भी भट्ट साहब से जब सुनता हूँ, अपेरेंटली आई फॉलोड हिज इंस्ट्रक्शंस टू द टी. आई एन्जॉयड इट. एंड देन आई रिमेंबर जब मैं हमारे प्यार के देखने गया तो लोग हंस रहे थे थिएटर में, सीटियाँ बजा रहे थे, जब मेरे जो थर्मोमीटर डालता है सब. तो मेरे को लगा यार ये तो बहुत अच्छा है. वहाँ से मेरा रोमांस हुआ उससे. तो तब तो मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ कि खासकर कश्मीरी घर में
like acting with Juhi, right?
Juhi. She's amazing. She's a kid. I mean, then it felt like having a friend. Yeah. I felt like ये हमारी हम उम्र है, because she was like, we were all 3 of us kids were hanging with her all the time in her room, and she was a lot of fun. And I only
Very
have
vibrant,
fond memories.
no?
Yeah. Great energy. And I really enjoyed working with her. तो वैसे वो सिलसिला शुरू हुआ, और तब तो हमारा प्रोफेशन पढ़ाई थी, ये हॉबी थी. तो जब कुछ ऐसा कुछ अच्छा आता था, और वो डैड का हमेशा था कि ये कहानियाँ सुनता है, अगर इसको अच्छी लगेगी तो करेगा. और मेरे को फिर अजीब सा ये था कि यार मेरे को हीरो का बचपना नहीं करना है. तो वो कहते थे क्यों? तो मैं कहा क्योंकि वो दौड़ते दौड़ते बड़ा हो जाता है, फिर उसको कोई याद नहीं रखता, जो पीछे दौड़ता हुआ रह गया फिर सबको हीरो याद आता है. तो भट्ट साहब, you should respect that.
But that's also nice that your dad gave you that agency to say that, okay, read it, write it. Usually
he was also a teacher of acting. For me, invariably he never actually taught me, but because his guidance was very important, and he made sure that the childhood doesn't get lost in trying to do this, because like I said, for us it was not a means to an end. This was something that I was doing because I enjoyed doing it. It wasn't forced upon me at all.
Because a child artist ke saath, there is a little bit of, I mean, one has heard stories that there is exploitation in that respect.
Yeah, with times of, I mean, even more than, like I remember him fighting for kind of getting the green rooms, which were proper for kids, and like working hours to be a certain way, and but I think we've come a long way from that. And I think acting talent-wise also, I think kids are doing some amazing stuff now, and but I think parenting
is a safe space, Kunal, at that time for kids?
Me, yes, for me always, and I can't say that I ever felt that why am I doing this? I don't feel comfortable doing this. I don't like doing this. I have always had fun doing that. In fact, sometimes like I had to, my dad was very clear, both my parents, they said you can do this. But so we would only work, and that's why I did limited work, was because I would only work जब छुट्टियाँ होती थी या फिर स्कूल के बाद, जो बहुत ही लिमिटेड हो जाता था. और कभी कभी अगर वो करना पड़ता था, ही यूज्ड टू टेल मी अगर ये करोगे कभी एक आध दो दिन ऐसे होंगे बट एग्जाम्स कैन नॉट बी बंक्ड, फिर वो रात में थोड़ा और जाके पढ़ाई करनी पड़ेगी. सो ऑल दैट लाइक विच एट दैट टाइम आई वाज थॉट कि यार ये तो बड़ा ही थकाने वाला काम है, बट आई रियली एंजॉयड ऑल ऑफ दैट एंड आई हैव टू गिव देम क्रेडिट बिकॉज आई थिंक एट दैट एज इफ पेरेंटिंग काइंड ऑफ is not right now, then you can go anywhere. It's not like I saw that money and I was like, I have money, so I need to buy this and all that.
Yeah.
So I think I really learned to respect money also in the given environment that
but
I was.
There's also this thing of child actors when they become adults. Sometimes that doesn't stay, right? Obviously, you don't look the way you looked at that stage. You don't act it in that manner. It's difficult to move that transition. Did that make you nervous when you became an adult?
Only in hindsight do I get nervous thinking about it. Because jab, when you're living that life, a lot of that chatter started happening when I decided to get back to acting. Seriously. But एक और वो बात बहुत अच्छी थी मेरे जब father ने मुझसे कही थी. I don't think he seriously thought कि मैं actor बनूंगा. He thought this is a phase, and then हम हमेशा कहते हैं कि हमको तो 10th तक ये भी नहीं पता था कि साइंस के अलावा भी कोई स्ट्रीम होती है, क्योंकि घर वाले बताते ही नहीं है कि डॉक्टर या इंजीनियर ये दो ही चीज़ें हैं बेटा, और क्या होता है, और कोई इंटरनेट था नहीं तब कि हम देख लेते. तो जब 10th हुआ और जब स्कूल से पता चला ये आर्ट्स और कॉमर्स भी है भाई, बिजनेस भी तो है, ये सब भी तो किसी ने बताया नहीं.
Especially for boys, I think, right?
Yeah, so actually when I even filled my forms after my 10th, all of them were science. ये तो लकीली एक आध दो कॉलेज जो था उसमें अंदर विंग था तो मैंने भर दिया था. जैसे मैं एनएम कॉलेज गया था तो मैं मिठी भाई साइंस का फॉर्म लेकर आया था और एनएम सामने ही था तो फॉर्म भर दिया मैंने. लेकिन जब तक वो आई बात, देन आई हैड दैट कन्वर्सेशन फर्स्ट विद माय ट्यूटर सेइंग दैट आई रियली वांट टू डू थिएटर एंड स्टेज, बट वो होगा नहीं अगर साइंस ले लिया तो. So he had a chat with my parents, and that's when my parents were like, so my dad told me, he said, see, then it's a good thing that you've stopped acting at, because of my 10th, because you have to break that relationship with the audience that you've built as a kid. क्योंकि वो आपको हमेशा बच्चा ही देखेंगे. जैसे आपकी जनता आपके लिए कहीं कभी कभी पेरेंट्स जैसे ही होते हैं, वो आपको बच्चे की तरह देखते हैं. फिर अगर वो बच्चा उनके सामने बड़ा होता गया तो हमेशा बच्चा ही रहेगा. लेकिन वो जो 6 साल का हमने गैप लिया, उसमें थोड़ी हाइट चेंज हुई, आवाज़ बदली, बाल लंबे की, थोड़ा अलग दिखने की कोशिश की. So I think I was able to kind of establish that relationship again in a different form. तो वो सारे सवाल तब आए जब कलयुग रिलीज हो रही थी, तो सब ने ये कहा कि चाइल्ड एक्टर्स डोंट मेक इट एज सक्सेसफुल एक्टर्स, ये वो. ऐसे आप बता रहे हो कि डरा रहे हो, क्योंकि मैं इस वक्त यही होप कर रहा हूँ कि ऐसा कुछ ना हो.
Tell me about Traffic Signal and Kalyug, the two.
It was great. I mean, कलयुग पहले भी कह चुका हूँ मैं, वो एक्चुअली उस फिल्म का नाम ब्लू फिल्म था पहले, और वो मेरे लिए थी भी नहीं. लेकिन उस फिल्म के टाइटल से सब डरे हुए थे तो कोई कर नहीं रहा था, और मुझे फिल्म का टाइटल बाद में बताया गया था. तो जब मैंने हाँ कही थी तो मुझे टाइटल नहीं पता था. वो अच्छा भी था क्योंकि उसके बाद वही वाली बात हो गई कि नाम में क्या रखा है, क्योंकि किताब का कवर जो भी अंदर की कहानी मुझे पता थी. सो दैट्स हाउ दैट हैपेंड, एंड आई एम वेरी लकी दैट आई गॉट टू बी लॉन्च्ड बाय द मैन हु काइंड ऑफ वाज in a way like a sculptor in kind of building me up as an actor in films, which was Mahesh Bhatt, and I had that relationship with him and the comfort with him. So that he became the person who launched me in that. और उसके बाद मुझे ट्रैफिक सिग्नल कलयुग देखकर ही मुझे ऑफर हुई थी. मधुर भंडारकर ने he reached out to me, और मुझे याद है कि उस वक्त एक असमंजस में भी फंसा था मैं, क्योंकि भट्ट साहब और विशेष फिल्म मेरे साथ एक और फिल्म करना चाहते थे, और आई थिंक वो लम्हे और ट्रैफिक सिग्नल भी सेम समय पे बनने वाली थी. तो मुझे वो चूज़ करना पड़ रहा था. तो बहुत दिल पे पत्थर रख के मुझे ऐसा लगा कि आई रियली कनेक्टेड विद ट्रैफिक सिग्नल का स्टोरी इन सम वे, एंड आई कैन ऑफ डिड दैट. बट ऑफ कोर्स they supported me in that, and the experience of doing Traffic Signal was also very nice because एक तो fresh out of theatre, you get this commercial film, and then you get a film like Traffic Signal where you get the opportunity to play somebody which you base your character on certain people, right? So I was very happy and excited to do something like that. So I'm very happy that I got to be a part of those two films in such an early stage of my career.
Madhur and Mahesh Bhatt, two completely different kind of genres they make, right? Their film. Are you a director's baby, like completely molded by a director, or do you, because you're a director yourself, So, or you became a director later, I guess. At that stage, you weren't a director. But when you work with two directors, do you switch off from that guy's kind of filmmaking and then move to the next one, or do you take some of it back?
Well, ideally, yes, but you don't really switch off, right? Because whatever you learn kind of becomes a part of your system. And I think with directors also, sometimes a lot of directors are actors, directors, and a lot of directors are not necessarily actors, directors. They're way more technical, and like they know that, but they sometimes some directors are not very good at communicating with an actor. But I think in my case, I was able to understand that, so I would ask a lot of questions if I didn't get all the information that I had.
Do they like it, or do they get irritated?
Most of them do, because I'm trying to cater to their needs.
बेहतर बनना चाहिए ना.
नहीं, basically उनको अच्छा, see, at the end of the day, director is the captain of the ship. Once he says he likes something, I'm never somebody who will say no, but why do you like it? I think because it has to be his vision through and through. So all the questions that I ask are to kind of understand sometimes, because a lot of people are not able to express exactly what they want, so that I can deliver what they want from me, and that's where all of the conversations kind of lead to.
Kunal, why did you become a director so early? Very early in life, no, with Madgaon.
I'm very impressed that you think that 40 years early, but
no, but seriously, I mean, you were an actor, so you could have stayed an actor.
I think I'm an accidental director. I was also an accidental writer. And it all happened because we are in a profession which is very unpredictable, where your future is not necessarily decided by your talent or how good you are. And sometimes it's unfair. Because you might do a film that you don't believe in, nobody believes in, but does a box office wonder, and you just take off. Whereas sometimes you might give your heart and soul, and for whatever reason the film doesn't work, and then the market viability and all those things kind of come into play. So anyways, because of that, sometimes you can be working non-stop, and sometimes you have a long gap in between what you really want to do. And in those gaps is when you have free time, and now what you do with that free time is on you. So sometimes it can be travel, sometimes it can be moaning and just feeling like, why is this happening? And which all of those happened with me till a point where I was like, okay, what do I do creative in this? I have these stories in my head. Let me learn the discipline to write them. So it started by writing. So I wrote a couple of scripts, in which one of them was Madgaon Express back in 2015. And actually मैं वहीं पे रुक गया फिर, कि मुझे लगा कि किसी दिन ये discover होगी तो I'll play a part in this. And every time I narrated it to somebody who was a friend or an industry person, the first question was like, why don't you direct this? And as much as I would love to, I don't know if I was ready. And saying that you want to direct something, or you want to kind of do something different within the profession when you're on a not a very solid wicket, can send mixed signals.
Okay.
It shouldn't seem like, is he doing it out of desperation, or is he actually good at that? So in whatever convoluted way, मेरे दिमाग में ये था कि यार मैं डायरेक्शन ना उस दिन करूँगा जिस दिन मुझे एक्टिंग के काम को ना कहना पड़े, सिर्फ अपनी सेटिस्फैक्शन के लिए, ताकि मुझे अपने जहन में ऐसा नहीं लगे कि मैंने गिव अप किया किसी चीज़ पे और कुछ और कर रहा हूँ. So then that kind of led to a little bit of years that kind of passed by, but eventually when Excel landed upon this script because of a person called Rucha Pathak, who was also a producer on this, who had read the script back in the day. She pitched it to them, and they liked the script, and that's how the conversations began again. And yet again the same question came, that why don't you direct it, or why don't you want to direct it? And I was like, yaar, Bhagwan baar mauke nahi deta. I must take this seriously. And luckily at that point of time I was doing a lot of acting work, and I said, great, I get to say no to work also and do this. So I kind of went for it, and I'm very happy that I did, because everything aside, and I'm very grateful now that it's done well, it's gotten me a lot of love. I really enjoyed the entire process of making a film, and I was so happy and content with it that the only thing that I wished for is like, just make it do enough so that I can do it again. And which honestly has always been my idea of success, whether it is an actor or director or anything, is like, as long as you can keep doing what you enjoy doing and you can keep presenting it to the world, you're successful and happy. It's just that in our industry, that doesn't happen if you're not delivering a box office success time and again. So I think somewhere it kind of came together for me, and I think as much as I love cinema, I've had the opportunity to do, if not all of it, well, most of it.
So singing? musician? What do you do? Play the guitar?
Yes, it's
Obviously, MTV generation, no?
no, it's not even that. I picked up the guitar way later. I think when I was 34 or 35, I picked it up. Again, like one of those times when you're bored and what to do. I picked up photography. So I used to go to the jungles, do some wildlife photography. Then I picked up the guitar, which when I was growing up, my parents tried to kind of send me to coaching classes. But वो सारे गामा पा में उंगलियां लगाते लगाते इतना दर्द होता था कि एक पॉइंट पे मैं नहीं हो रहा मेरे से। तो मैं पूछता था मैं गाना कब बजा पाऊंगा, तो बोलते थे अभी बहुत टाइम है, तो मैंने छोड़ ही दिया। फिर थैंक्स टू यूट्यूब उसमें एक ऐसा वीडियो आया कि 3 कॉर्ड्स में आप 10 गाने बजा सकते हैं, तो मैंने वो कॉर्ड 3 सीखे और फिर मैं गाने गाने लगा। तो फिर वो 3 के 6 हुए, and then I realized that like once you know that, so then I started composing my own songs and like for my friends.
You make it sound so easy. It's not.
No, actually like if you genuinely have an interest in something ना, तो वो होगा। जैसे मुझे भी लगेगा कि कोई क्रिकेटर हो रही इतनी आसानी से शॉट मार दिया, but he's passionate about that. So I really enjoy it and it comes naturally to me. एंड तो वही हुआ कि जब मडगांव एक्सप्रेस हुई तो उसमें एक सिचुएशन थी, उसमें गाना चाहिए था और हम जिस एक आर्टिस्ट को फॉलो कर रहे थे वो उसका टाइम नहीं हमें मिल रहा था और मेरी रिकॉर्डिंग का डेट आ गया था। तो एक दिन किसी और दूसरे गाने की रिकॉर्डिंग में एक म्यूजिशियन साथ में बैठा था, तो मैंने उसको गिटार पे बोला तू ये कॉर्ड्स बजा और हमने गाना बनाया और फिर वो गाना अच्छा लगा प्रोड्यूसर्स को और वो हम यहीं करके गाना है मेरी पिक्चर में, तो वो लिखा कंपोज किया और गा लिया उसमें।
So directing a movie and acting in it. So I saw this interview. It was of Jesse Eisenberg, and he and Kieran Culkin are acting in this film, and the short clip that they showed of the film in the interview was of these 2 Jewish kids who going back. They're going to Poland, and they're going. It's the entire experience of the Holocaust. And they're sitting, and so he made the film, Jesse Eisenberg, and he was like, why can you act and direct and produce in the same movie? Does it take away from the entire experience? I don't want to talk about his film, but the whole conversation was that can you take yourself away, because acting के साथ there is a whole experience, direction के साथ whole experience है. So but he did because he's a Jew himself, and he understands that whole experience of that. To you, because you're a director also, you're an actor also, could you think of making a film, say, of the exodus of the Pandits if you were to make it? Would you bring that experience of, say, your relatives who moved away at that time? Would you act in a film like that, your dad's experience? I know it's I'm totally giving you a different scenario, but can you imagine making a film like that with the experience that you bring in, your parents' experience, your experience, the historical context of what happened when you were a child? Imagine what that would be. That would be phenomenal.
I know, but I'm not very sure because I've never thought about it, honestly. And like I said, I haven't tried to open that door.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily know why. It just...
When you open the door, you're going to speak to me first.
Yeah, I need to speak to a therapist first because I need to understand that why haven't I kind of gone in that direction, or why have I stayed away from it, or why haven't I... In a way, I think, I think my grandparents, my parents have truly lived that, and I think they are the best people to answer this question, and also in a way educated, because I'm sure that they did kind of try to understand, and they know the politics behind it. They know the other aspects of what happened during that time.
No, theirs is the trauma generation. Your grandparents and your parents are the trauma generation. You are the one who has come out of that, and you shut the door on that, right? That's what I want to see, what your generation would do to that. That anyway, one day maybe that will happen. I look forward to that. Would you like to keep acting in films and direct your own films? How would you like that?
That's what I'm aiming towards. I am going back to acting now. I will be directing again. I have enjoyed all of it. And I think the more time you spend doing what you love and the more experience you garner, the more comfortable you get with that art. So I would like to not necessarily push the limits because pushing the limits is the norm to do, but I want to definitely try and test my limits. And that will make me more excited, and the more driven I am to doing that, I hopefully will deliver something which I may not know I'm capable of. So, yes, I want to act. I am consistently writing. I am acting also, and I am directing as well. If I do all of these three together, time will tell. Hopefully.
I've always wondered, what are your dinner table conversations like at home? Your wife, your mother-in-law, your brother-in-law. I mean, and then the extended family. So many such brilliant actors when you people get together. Do you talk about your films?
That's what, I get it. I completely get it. I would also imagine, like, I used to always think, like, in film families, especially, and even like not just movie stars, but rock stars, pop stars, when they get together, what they must talk about. And
to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah, but like, honestly, like, now, because you mentioned these people, we talk about most things which are not films. Rarely do we talk films. It's very much like a ghar ka conversation that, like, I would have that I've had with my family. It's pretty much like that here. Like, when Soha, I, Bhai, Bebo, even Amma get together, we talk about everything else. Sometimes, if you've just had a release, there's an interest of, okay, what are you doing, and are you enjoying that, and how is that, and that's that.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's just normal
conversation.
Khane mein kya khaya?
Khana is very important, huh?
Khana is just, I think that's the
You
binding
cook,
force
right?
of everything. Yeah, I do. I love food. I enjoy cooking. And so I try to cook.
And but Soha, does she eat at all? She's like so fit, and
So Soha,
both of you are.
I realize Soha eats to survive. She doesn't eat to, like, enjoy and taste and all of that, right? So, and I'm completely the opposite. But now I think we're both comfortable with that, because we realize these are the kind of people that we are.
Okay.
And she doesn't know how to cook, and she's never kind of shown the passion is a very big word, but she's never shown the interest to kind of
So
cook.
your bacha likes your cooking.
That's the only option that she has. I mean, between the two parents, I cook.
How do you cope with the paparazzi all the time following you guys?
It's kind of become a part of life now. And I'm okay with it and luckily we've not reached a place where it did get scary at one point when they were using zoom lenses and you did not know that, your family or you were being clicked or recorded. But other than that, most times, 99% of the times, I think paparazzis, as we call them, have been very respectful of the boundaries. And if you've said that, please let me be, most times they have. So, and I understand that it comes with its ups and downs.
Yeah.
Like, because there'll be a commentary no matter what stand you take. So I don't think there is a right or wrong of anything. I think it's to the comfort of the parents and the well-being of the child. And I think until they are 18, the parents decide. So whatever the parents feel is right for their child is what is right.
What happened? Where were you when you heard about the attack on Saif and the whole jamboree that has gone around it?
Ji.
Has that made you a little scared? Because I know of many actors who have said that, oh my God, we never thought. Like, okay, there have been attacks before. Rakesh Roshan was attacked and many others have been attacked physically.
Right.
But this was a burglary gone wrong. Everything went wrong.
Right.
From the point of entrance of the burglar, or whatever you want to call it, a dacoit, or you can term him whatever, to the point of Saif going to the hospital and the surgery and the post, the whole police saying this happened, that happened. How did you, what were you doing, and how has it impacted on you guys?
Honestly, the first thing was, is he okay? And none of the chatter made any sense. And once we knew that he was okay and he was out of danger, none of the chatter made any sense again, because that's the only thing that mattered. And I think the whole commentary that went on it, Saif has just done an interview very recently.
Read that. Bombay Times, yeah.
I think he's put it in the best way. I don't even want to add words to it, because I think everything has been accounted for and answered when it comes to that. As family, I woke up to a call at like about 6 and there was no information. He said that, there's been this incident and he's in the hospital and he's going to undergo surgery and he's been stabbed, and that was that. And it's very weird how fear works.
So how was
in
with
different
you?
ways. I had to break this to her. We were getting our daughter ready to go to school, and you just had this information and nothing else. So to kind of how to put this across. Am I supposed to send my daughter to school right now or not? All of those things were kind of playing on my mind. So we did send her to school, and then I said we need to go there, and that's when slowly we started to find out what had kind of transpired. And like I said, after that, the number one prayer that everybody had was like, we hope he's going to be fine. And once that was done, then that's where we were satisfied with it. And as far as, I mean, unfortunately, I was in the similar situation about 12 years ago when there was a break-in in Soha's house, and I was there. And again, there was a burglary. I happened to wake up in time and fight the guy and catch him and take him to the police station. I just feel it's not like that the city is unsafe. I mean, these are those one or two incidences that will happen. We'll have to be careful. You can't say that, the city is safe, so I can lay down in the street with jewelry and nothing's going to happen. So we have to protect ourselves and our family to the best of the ways that we can. Other than that, these are one of those freak incidences that keep happening. Yeah. But if am I going to say that, I feel unsafe in the city? No, I don't. I think that Bombay still continues to be a very safe city to be lived in. These freak incidences happen everywhere. We just have, even this, eventually what you realize is that this guy didn't know whose house he was entering. He had kind of walked the floors, found one window open and gotten into that. And so it is a burglary that went wrong, and I don't know what led to him to kind of attack in the brutal manner that he did. But
because there was a lot of commentary even by the cops who said that why were they so naive to think that they're safe? I mean, there's so many wealthy people living in that building, and the safety aspect was not looked at. Look, some of us who live in Delhi or maybe even in Kashmir, the concept of personal safety is always playing in your mind, right? Bombay, you think everything is safe anyway, right? Is that how even you guys thought of it, that we are loved so much we won't be attacked?
I can't speak for everybody. I can say what I feel, and I always feel that you need to take all the necessary precautions no matter where you are. So those need to be taken. Now beyond that, sometimes things will happen. It's like you get into a road accident, not necessarily was it always your fault. Sometimes it just happens. Like, these are freak incidences. So this has happened. But if you're not wearing a helmet and sitting on that bike, then you're partly to be blamed as well. So you need to take all the necessary precautions that you can, and then hope nothing happens. So yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think they've also everybody's learned from this. I know that it's become a chatter in all societies around the buildings. Everybody's relooking at their security systems. Unfortunately, we sometimes wait for something like this to happen to kind of set an example. I just feel like we're lucky that it's not been, everybody's safe.
Yeah. I think it happens everywhere. I think when I've seen film shoots which happen in America, I just sometimes wonder, how naive are you? It's only the top actors who have bouncers around them, but the entire set is open to anybody coming and entering. Sure. They are more protective in those areas for the information of the shoot not to travel out. Not so much the protection of the people around. Anyway, I have to get to this point where you mentioned just now about that we all are making that conscious decision to be safer, I guess. Is it going to impact on your lifestyle? You love taking bike rides and going out and all that.
I have genuinely always kind of taken all the precautions that I possibly think are there. Okay. So that's remained the same. Okay. I can't let... you take a learning from this. Like, the most that we did is we made sure that the CCTVs in our building were actually functioning, which you not always are going like, har kuch chal raha hai ki nahi chal raha hai.
Correct.
You do those things. But the fact that there should be a CCTV in the building is a given. If you're staying on a lower floor, then sometimes just for extra protection, you call it whatever. Like, in biking, there's a saying, like, you invest in the right gear, even if it's expensive, hoping that you never have to use it. But the day you have to use it, that's what's going to save your life. So I think that's the best way of living your life. Like, you take all the precautions that you think are necessary. Of course, some people kind of take this to the other level. Like, you don't need to kind of live in a jail at the end of the day, because then there's no quality of life.
In Bollywood, what used to happen is that film actors used to send their children to boarding school. Saif himself has studied in a boarding school, and so they would send them so that you're away from this constant security presence or fan presence, or it's a more normal kind of a life or something like that. But that's not happening all that much now. Younger parents like you and Soha, you would always want your child around
I
you,
used
right?
to dread that my parents will send me to boarding school. In fact, they used to only say it like if I was not doing something that they wanted me to do. तुम खाना नहीं खा रहे हो, ठीक है, तुमको boarding school भेज देगा. I was like, कुछ भी दे दो मैं खा लूँगा. So I think that in itself, like I would not be able to live without my daughter. So I'm not even saying the right, wrongs and pluses. I'm sure there are great pluses.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I've not been a boarding school kid. And I just think for selfish reasons, I wouldn't be able to stay away from my daughter for such a long time.
Okay.
So for very selfish reasons, I wouldn't do that.
Like, see, even the Bachchans, when after, the whole politics of it all happened, they sent Abhishek and Shweta away to stay away. Even when you're talking about, when I'm talking about Saif himself, like, has sent his kids to study, not the younger ones, but the older ones studied separately, so that the filmy influence is not there. Whereas your bacha, as well as your nephews and nieces, they are exposed to this photography, this constant attention. It's not normal in the sense of, I mean, you've also, as a child actor, had the cameras all around you. Do you want to protect your kid from that and just move her away at times? Do you feel that?
I think I would rather empower her and give her the skill sets to deal with it, as opposed to send her away from something completely, because eventually she'll come back to it. And I'm not saying that I'm prepping a movie actor in my house. I have a very clear understanding that I want her to live her life to the fullest, have all the experiences in the world, which I didn't have. I want her to travel. I want her to go diving. I want her to ride a bike. I want her to climb a mountain. Do all of those things. At the end of it, if she still comes back and says, but this is what makes me happy, please do it. Because you take an educated guy. It cannot be कि मैं कुएं में मेंढक हूँ, यही मेरा कुआं है और इसी कुएं में अब मेरे को करना पड़ेगा. Because that's a slightly victim-like thing also, I feel, to do.
That's also true. Yeah.
So I would. That's why, like, I would rather her experiences, because anyways, I think thanks to social media, everything is everywhere. So it's not like कि अगर वो आज कहीं भी हो, वो एक phone उसको पूरी दुनिया के बारे में सब बताता रहेगा. So I haven't actually dug deep to think about this, but like basics that I know is that I want her to have a happy childhood, have all the experiences that we didn't have. Right now, the biggest problem sometimes is to give them at least the grounds that we had to play in. There is nothing, like, they're all playing in each other's houses and all that. And unfortunately, at least in Bombay, in Delhi, there's still at least big place, gardens.
Correct.
So we have like a few which are far and apart. So sometimes they spend a long time in the traffic.
Driving to that place.
Yeah. So.
But I've also seen that as a result of that, everybody's on devices. Kids are on devices. And that's having an impact on absorption powers. We were just interviewing Tigmanshu, and he was saying the same thing. He says the young actors, and he was giving an example. He said, if I tell a young actor today that तुम वहाँ से यहाँ तक जाओ, दरवाज़ा खोलो और ऊपर बाहर को देखो, वो जाता है and he's forgotten. He's not able to, he or she, whatever, is not able to absorb that basic direction of the sequencing, because attention span, is not there. So it's impacting on children. We haven't realized it.
And that's where I think I give a lot of credit to Soha, actually, because Inaya, she's 7 now. She's not actually that addicted to any gadgets. In fact, she doesn't even like to watch TV beyond her 1 hour of the cartoons that she watches. She's not even. I tried to show her Hamere Pyar Ke. She's not interested in watching the film. She's like, I want to watch Moana, and
Does she know that your dad hai?
Yeah, like she'll see a poster sometime and something is coming and that we are actors, so she's kind of understanding those concepts. But it is not like she's like wowed by it or like I want to do that. And I'm saying maybe that'll change, but we do necessarily right now, like you said, even I'm struggling with the gadget ka problem. Like the devices become like a thing. You wake up in the morning, you may start with trying to see if you got a message, and then God forbid you hit that Instagram or something, and then you are stuck in that vortex.
Yeah.
And then I start forgetting things. Like I don't even know why I picked up the phone in the first place.
Yeah. So we had Pankaj Tripathi on the podcast, and we talking to him, and he was like, my daughter's there all the time on Instagram and everybody that he knows. So he says, my advice just is that, okay, do it for 1 hour. Go into your Instagram for 1 hour and keep seeing your reels. देखते जाओ. 1 घंटे के बाद तुम उसको बंद करो. have you learnt anything? Has that 1 hour been well spent?
Yeah.
Did it take away your stress? What did you do in that 1 hour? What have you learnt? For example, I mean, you pick up a book and you read, or you see a film. You're taking back something, and you travel. You travel and you make a conscious effort to get out and travel. I'm sure that brings so much more to your creative space, doesn't it? Like, how has it helped you as an actor, as a director, your travels?
I think, even forget as an actor, director, as a person, just to cut off from things and have new experiences, just enriching your life. And I think the actor also is within you. And that person's also kind of enriching or learning something new. And I think as parents also, because we've kept on doing that, I think our child is also experiencing that. So she realizes that there is more to life. There are different cuisines, there are different cultures, there are different experiences that her parents do separately. Like her mom loves to read books. I love to do my adventure stuff by riding bikes. So she knows a little bit about bikes. She sees me going diving. So she has an interest in the kind of fish that I see and what they are about. For me also, these experiences happen very late in life. Most of the times, you thought you couldn't afford it. Because, scuba diving ऐसा होता था, ये तो अमीर लोग करते होंगे. But ऐसा है नहीं. And now, thanks to technology, you're like, hey, this is not that expensive to do, and I can still go to
I know, my generation thought golf is only अमीर लोगों का.
If you said Maldives, I was like, ये private charter वाले ही जाते होंगे. Maldives तो पता भी नहीं था इतना नजदीक अपने यहाँ पे. So it's like everybody can go there and have these experiences, because luckily nature's not put a price tag on anything. If you can stay at any property, it could be a 7-star or a 2-star, but the ocean is exactly the same for everybody, and with the fish and the amazing corals that are there. So when I started kind of doing this later in life, I started realizing that I had this beautiful experience when I went to the Grand Canyon for the first time. And Soha, I shared it, and Soha kind of mentioned it in her book that she wrote later, was when I went there, I had seen it in books and films and magazines, and everybody said one of the wonders of the world. So you kind of land up there. But no camera in the world can do justice to when you walk into that place. And the huge expanse of that made me feel like a tiny speck. And I said, these fears, these awkwardnesses or these stresses that I think of life that I have and judgments that are on me mean nothing. Like, look at this expanse and look at these people. They don't know who I am. They don't know who the Indian film is or what my problem is. And I just had one of those experiences, and that's when I promised myself I need to, from time to time, and not for anything else, just so that I can get out of my own shell and see what is there and what all others are doing, to kind of just, and you don't have to like say कि मैं आज क्या सीखा. वो आप सीख गए हो. Like, if you hear good music over a period of time, you will have a good sense of rhythm.
That's also the reason why when you went by and you see that, okay, that mountain which I saw seemed very big for me at that time is not really that big. Because everything, once you go to America, you realize that जो तुमने यहाँ पे mountain देखा, वो Grand Canyon के सामने क्या है यार? Everything in America is so big. The forest is so big. If you go, especially during fall, if you see fall in autumn, the leaves falling, you see that in Kashmir, you see that in America, you just realize that those trees, those oaks are so big. So for me, fall, what I saw in Kashmir was like gorgeous. But when I see it in America, it is like enormous. So this is the same with ocean, no? Like you see ocean, इधर जुहू के पास देखोगे तुम, पानी कैसा है, but you see the Mediterranean. पानी अलग ही है, and पानी है, So when poets and writers write it about पानी, and you think क्या यार पानी पे क्या कविता लिख सकते हो, but है, and it's only people who have experienced it, I guess.
Yeah, I think travel is one of those things which we did when we were hunters and gatherers. All we did is kind of travel, and we took our learnings from place. And even till date, when you discover a new place, there is so much that you discover about it through its food. What kind of palate do they have? And that also comes with a lot of learning, because I realized when you go to the coldest countries, they don't eat spicy food. Whereas you would imagine कि हम तो ठंड में मिर्ची के पकोड़े पहले निकल आए. And the hottest countries eat the spiciest food. So my curiosity was like, why this thing? And then somebody said, I don't even know if this is fact checked, but they said that when you eat spicy food, you sweat, and when you sweat, your body kind of cools down also. So that was a learning that I didn't get from a book, but so now when I travel, I can tell that to my child. We were recently in Japan, and the kind of food that we ate there, the kind of civil sense those people have, you learn from that. And it's not that to say back in our country nobody does that. No, but I can start doing this. I can learn that she's also learning by observing, and so did I. They don't even have trash cans on the road. And I was like, but how am I supposed to throw trash? And then I realized, okay, maybe I'm supposed to eat what I eat where I'm eating. Because there was a board when we had ice cream, there was a big board. They said, please do not walk with your ice cream, finish it, throw the wrapper here, and then walk.
That's a cultural thing in Japan also.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So if I had not traveled, I wouldn't know. Now, if I've liked that about that, I'll try and imbibe it here.
But that is what India was all about also. Where did we walk and eat? It was considered तहजीब नहीं थी यार.
We didn't even eat on chairs and tables. We चौकड़ी मार के बैठते थे और हम आज भी वैसे ही खाते हैं.
और आप हाथ धो के खत्म हो गया आपका.
Correct.
ये जो चलते चलते खाने वाली आदत थी, it was not considered the right thing to do. I don't think parents ever did that.
Yeah.
My generation did, and our kids don't think it's normal only of eating while walking. So the garbage that you see is also that.
Yep.
That you do. Okay, one question which I had my team wanting to ask, which I find it a little creepy at my age to ask it, but I have to ask this about physical fitness. You guys are all involved in like solid workouts and things like that. It's an important part of your life to be physically fit, which is amazing. So tell me your routine, what you do for that.
Well, it's become a part of our lifestyle. It's like a lot of people ask me sometimes when I'm pushing very heavy, they're like, oh, so what are you training for? And I'm like, I'm not really training for anything, I'm training for myself. So I do that because of that. I think it chemically in your body releases a lot of chemicals which make you help sleep better, digest better, and just deal with day-to-day stresses in life better. So primarily for that, I make sure that I go to the gym 4 times a week. Most of my training is weight training. I do strength training more than I'm too lazy to do cardio. I'm very happy to see some kind of Instagram research showing that cardio is not really working. So I'm like, great, I never did it. So strength training is something that I've always kind of enjoyed doing, and that's what I do. Yeah.
I have to tell you this one incident now that you talk about cardio. This must be about 20 years back, I think. This was at the India Habitat Center. Sharmila ji used to come there and work out, and I remember her bringing Soha and showing her the machines, and this very bored girl looking at it, karna padega, and then looked at something else and looked at something else. And, I could tell from her expression, she was not interested at all. She was, of course, very thin and slim and petite and everything. And Sharmila very nicely saying this and then explaining it and taking everybody around. And I knew at that moment, ye ladki kabhi nahi aane wali is gym mein.
But she's actually...
But she was just a kid.
Yeah.
20 years ago, she did... Saif came to the same gym and he did weights and things like that. I said, she's never coming back. So she looked most bored and probably went to another gym where her mother wasn't there. Who wants to exercise with your mom,
probably,
right?
Yeah.
It's when your mom looking at you all the time. And of course, everybody used to get a lot of inspiration watching Sharmila ji, exercise. She was using the treadmill mostly, not doing weights at that stage. But I can see Soha, putting in her in Instagram of fabulous workouts that she does.
I think, it's been great that both of us love fitness and it's like a part of our life, because I think sometimes we are able to motivate each other. Like if I am feeling lazy and I'm like, where are you going? She's like, I'm going to the gym. And I'm like, acha, ye ja rahi hai. So मेरे को भी जाना चाहिए, it's like that. But I think she used to also keep just doing cardio. I think I've kind of managed to bring that strength training into her life, which she's kind of enjoying now. So it helps, if you have
Pilates also, right? Yoga.
I don't think so. Yoga, yeah. Yoga and like now a mix of functional and strength training. So I think it helps to have a partner who also has a similar interest, just to kind of
have you
sometimes
acted in a
motivate
film
each
with
other.
her? No.
Yeah, we did 2. That's where we met. We did 2 films together. We did a film called Dhoondte Reh Jaoge and a film called 99.
Correct. Yes. But no sequel was made ever on that?
Neither of those kind of had sequels. But I remember 99 when Cyrus Brocha and I were on that film, and we used to all bond on fitness. So he and I used to be pushing weights, and this Soha would run at a high speed for like 30 minutes. And both of us Cyrus and I hate doing cardio. So we would envy her a little bit. Like, He's also been at it. He's actually, like, nobody gives him credit for that, but within the fitness thing, he's kept going.
I saw an interview of his, like, even if he didn't have weights, वो पत्थर ही उठा लेता है.
He's very hardcore about his workouts.
करेगा. But when you're out on shoots and things like that, isn't it difficult, the kind of time that you
gotta make time for things. Like you'll always find reasons. I never work out on holidays. For me, holidays are like एक rep नहीं मारूंगा मैं because I just want to like just do that. But on shoots, of course, I mean you need to find out time. You either wake up a little early. You might not get the exact workout that you plan every day, but like either after pack up or before you go to set, just get in 20-30 minutes of
हो
whatever
जाता
you
है.
want to do.
Because I interviewed Akshay Kumar and then I interviewed several other actors and he said he has such a punishing schedule. Like, but he will wake up at 4:30 in the morning. He will go and work out before. Once I had a breakfast meeting with him before the shoot, where we discussed. He wants to talk about a film, so he'll tell me that okay, this is what we'll talk today. And of course, I don't stick with any of those rules and regulations. But I saw the guy eats a full-on Panju breakfast, and I was like, how does he look the way he does? In spite of eating that, but then he doesn't eat anything during the day, during the shoots. He's just doing it. I've seen Hema Malini done her interview of hers 3 times during elections. She'll heat her idli and chutney and dry fruits and then not eat anything for the next 4 to 5 hours. Survive on just that one breakfast. So what do you eat that gives you that energy to shoot through the day without needing to eat at all?
I mean, I eat quite a bit. I mean,
that's honest. Refreshing honesty.
I need to eat from time to time. And I'll try these intermittent fastings once in a while, but I don't think I've been able to make any of those very sustainable.
It's not, but it works for me too.
Yeah, it does.
Otherwise, I'll like bloat.
Yeah, I mean, so everybody is different, right? So, I mean, you got to do what works for you at the end of the day. So, but like I said, like with fitness and working out, like if you love something, you make time for it. And when you see the results, you feel even more motivated to kind of keep going. So you go with that. And diet, of course, like at times you'll have to make certain choices. Like if you want to look leaner for a film, then you'll have to go away from carbs.
Kashmiri Pandit cannot diet.
Yeah,
I've just seen the khana is too tasty.
Like that rice also I feel like is very important in life.
Every Kashmiri Pandit friend that I have has always said कि हमसे diet मत करवाओ. हमसे exercise करवा लो.
I'll work out a little more, but diet becomes tough.
It's just too genetically you're too wired to eat.
Yeah, only in dire situations sometimes you have to like make choices. I'll be like यार ये तो मुझे खाना है तो अच्छा ऐसे कर लेते हैं. Then I'll speak to somebody कि क्या करूँ अभी अगर आलू और चावल दोनों खाने का मन है तो आलू बाद में खाता हूँ. Okay, it's like that.
नहीं होता. अच्छा, a couple of questions before we wrap up. One, is it hard to make friends in the Bombay film industry?
See, that's the thing. Like, what's the definition of friends? I think
lasting relationships.
You can. I don't want to be the guy who says ये तो बिल्कुल नहीं होता. You'll be surprised. You'll make friends way late in life sometimes. Most times what happens is because the industry, like I said, we don't have a routine of any sort.
Correct.
There is no Saturday, Sunday. There is no working hours. So because you're working on that, sometimes friendships kind of can't cope with that. Like sometimes even your friends who are not in the industry, they have a very normal, nice timetable life where, Saturday, Sunday is when they'll plan their vacations or spring breaks are happening. Like with my daughter, I'm realizing all these things. We don't even know. We'll be like suddenly like अगला पूरा महीना free है तो चलो hang करते हैं. And then now I'm not available for 7-8 months. And especially if both are working, then those things just don't happen. So your friendship, if it is true, then it has to stand the test of time. And वही है, like I said, for the things you love, दोस्ती के लिए भी समय बनाना पड़ता है. ऐसा नहीं होता कि नहीं निकल नहीं रहा है. तो वो मुश्किल है. बट ऐसा नहीं कहूँगा कि नहीं है क्योंकि बहुत सारी दोस्तियाँ हैं इंडस्ट्री में लोगों की.
पर जैसे फिल्में जब रिलीज़ होती हैं समटाइम्स लाइक वन इज़ हर्ड कि 2 बहुत फेमस एक्टर्स हैं, दोस्त भी हैं, लेकिन जब उनकी फिल्में रिलीज़ होती हैं दे विल यूज़ ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ टैक्टिक्स टू किल ईच अदर्स फिल्म्स. वो भी होता है ना.
अब देखिए वो मैंने भी वैसे ही सुना है, लेकिन अब ना मैंने किसी को ऐसे देखा जो अपने पीआर को मेरे सामने फ़ोन करके बोल रहा कर तू उड़ा दे उसको. ये सब मैंने देखा नहीं है. तो ये सब कहीं सुनी बातें लेकिन होती हैं. ये इतना मेरे को भी पता है. लेकिन अब वही है कि अब वो एक्टर खुद कर रहे हैं या वो प्रोड्यूसर कर रहे हैं या पिक्चर की मार्केटिंग. बिकॉज एट द एंड ऑफ द डे इट इज़ सॉर्ट ऑफ अ कॉम्पिटिशन एट द बॉक्स ऑफिस नाउ मोर देन एवर. तो वो कट थ्रोट बिहेवियर होता है. अब इसमें राइट और रॉन्ग है. मेरी अपनी थिंकिंग है इसको लेकर जो मुझे नहीं लगता ये सही है. किसी को नीचा दिखा के हम क्यों ऊपर जाते हैं. बट कई लोग बिजनेस को पहले रखते हैं. सो आई मीन it definitely, even I've heard it like from good sources that
the
it
whole
happens.
thing of this whole PR machinery thing, I think it's imploding in some way because people are getting tired of this. कि ना फिल्म को प्रमोट करो और वो पिक्चर इतनी घटिया है पर प्रमोशन इतना हो गया, सो पीपल आर गेटिंग ऑफ दैट होल promotion business.
It is, it's pretty much like the diets which we talk about. One diet worked, so now everybody does it, and then everybody gets tired of it.
Juice करो उसके बाद.
And then we get tired of it. Then we're like, ये मेरे से नहीं होगा. Next क्या है? चलो अब ये करता हूँ. So everything is evolving in this business. Some people try and push their luck to the max. Now वही है कि अगर आपने ये ट्रेन करेक्ट सिग्नल से पकड़ी थी तो आप इसका फायदा लेके निकल गए. आप लेट चढ़े हो तो आपको गाली पड़ रही है. वो वाली बात है.
It's a cycle. I mean, I know when I studied public relations and then 5 years later PR firms were shutting down. और अब PR firms की चांदी है that they are doing this. And also the whole thing of social media. The social media wars. Because the fan clubs, जो पहले होती थी fan clubs, वो आज के fan clubs, they go for each other.
जी.
The SRK fan club, the Saifians as they are called, उनके fan clubs. तो आपने अगर एक सेंटेंस लिखा कि मेरे को जवान पठान अच्छी नहीं लगी और समथिंग लाइक दैट, oh my god, they come after you, they troll you, they nasty horrible things. I can have an opinion about a film, no, but how dare I use the social media space against that? So it's the fan club, it's the PR agency who might be getting the trolling done and all that. This is all playing on the mind. So earlier I used to talk about films, now I just don't. It's having such a terrible impact on me. That I did do one lately on the Manoj Bajpayee film, but series. But I'm not going to do it because I really don't want it anymore. So I feel even that has impacted a lot on.
Yeah, I mean, nobody likes to be on the receiving end of it, right? And I think. When we were in school, we used to have this debate, I remember, science a boon or a curse. We've come a long way from that.
Essays hoti thi.
Then there was television a boon or a curse. Then there was, cinema also at some point. Now we're at this crossroad where we're talking about social media being a boon or a curse. And I think anything that gives you a certain kind of power has to be accepted with some kind of responsibility, and that lies within us. It's very easy for us to criticize somebody or put them down, but sometimes you have to, it's all very thought-provoking and holier-than-thou attitude, but it has to be, because if you have the power to now directly reach somebody that you like and make his day by saying, I really like your work, and if you're going to get so impressed by that saying, Arey, this guy really likes my work, then on both sides you have to be very careful of what you're going to say to this person.
Authentic नहीं लगता, हाँ.
है नहीं ना. और आधे लोग तो क्या है कि वो एक पर्दे के पीछे छुपे हुए, जो गाली खा रहा है उसकी शक्ल सबको दिख रही है, लेकिन जो दे रहा है उसको जिस दिन अकाउंट भर के 1 रुपया लगेगा ना गाली देने का, वो बंद कर देगा गाली देना. और तारीफ भी कम हो जाएगी.
रिचर्ड चड्ढा ने कहा था ना, चिंटू जो है वो बैठ के काले कमरे में बैठ के टाइपिंग अगेंस्ट ऐश्वर्या राय.
मैं वही कह रहा हूँ, जिस दिन इस पे पैसे लग जाएंगे ना कि गाली देने का भी 10 रुपया लगता है, तो एक्टर भी बोलेगा हाँ भाई 10 रुपये तो कमाऊँ मैं कम से कम, गाली क्यों खा रहा हूँ सिर्फ. और वैसे ही तारीफ भी कम हो जाएगी और गालियां भी कम हो जाएगी.
वो एल्गोरिदम भी वैसा है ना, दैट यू मेक मनी.
ये तो दूसरी चीज है ना, ये तो कभी समझ में नहीं आती है एल्गोरिदम क्या चीज है. कि मुझे भी नहीं समझ में आता है कि इसको कैसे पता मैं ये देख रहा हूँ. मैंने एक बाइक का कुछ देख लिया, सिर्फ बाइकें आ रही है मेरे इस पे.
हाँ,
अब तो ये डर लगता है कि बात क्या कर रहे हो वो दिखने लग जाता है.
करेक्ट.
मैं कहूँ अरे चाइनीज खाना खाएं क्या आज, वो गाड़ी में बैठती आ जाएगा चाइनीज रेसिपीज रेस्टोरेंट सब.
या
सो एंड
it's annoying.
Now to you're even thinking sometimes somebody is like, oh don't worry, this is not even a person, this is a chatbot.
Yeah.
तो I have suddenly started realizing कि मेरी भी उम्र अब होने लगी है कि मेरे को भी ऐसे लग रहा है आजकल के बच्चे क्या कर रहे हैं.
Please wait till it starts showing up that anti-aging creams and things like that will come, the ads that come in, it comes in for me, which is so annoying. But anyway, let's talk about you. What do we have to look forward to in 2025? What are you planning to do?
2025 is seeming to be very exciting as of now, and I cross my fingers that it all goes well. I have a show, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it if it's come on, but I have a show for Netflix that I'm going to be an actor in. So I'm acting in that, and then I have a film that I've written, which I am going to be directing by the end of this year.
Wonderful. Okay, so 2025 is a busy year for you.
Yes, hopefully.
And so, like Naman just told me about the Golmaal.
Golmaal again is one of those.
Happen?
It's amazing that we go on Golmaal G.
5
5 तक आ जाएगी तो जी. हाँ. मैं तो तीसरी में जुड़ा था. I loved the first Golmaal. I really enjoyed the second one, and then I remember जब मुझे थर्ड के लिए बुलाया मैं बोला इसमें जगह कहाँ है मगर इसमें मैं करूँगा क्या इसमें इतने लोग हैं.
But that happens, no? All the Golmaal films are like that. Even if you come for 3 minutes.
Yeah, no, but so this was my first question. कि इसमें तो already इतने लोग. Then when I heard it and I laughed and I had so much respect for Rohit and those writers, I said, sometimes कि 3 characters की कहानी लिखने में आदमी को समझ नहीं आता क्या करें. इसमें तो 10 हैं. And all 10 of them kind of shine and people love all of them. So I was very happy to be a part of that, and it gets us so much love, and honestly it's one of those films which we feel is like a paid picnic to go to, because we all enjoy each other's company. We are all having fun. Action और कट के बीच में भी हम लोग मस्ती कर रहे होते हैं और फिर वो पिक्चर बन जाती है.
उसमें लिखता कौन है? That slapstick humor लिखता कौन है वैसे?
Well, on the third and fourth.
Or is it written on the go?
No. So all the homework is done by Rohit and his team, and Sajid Farhad used to write. The third and fourth was both of them were there, and Yunus Bhai, who does his screenplay, was also there. तो ये टीम पहले मिलके पूरी ये खिचड़ी बनाती है स्वादिष्ट, फिर आके हम उसमें थोड़ा तड़का लगाते हैं और फिर साथ मिलके खाते हैं. और जब तक वो पिक्चर रिलीज होती है तब उसकी प्रमोशन में भी इतना मजा आता है ना, क्योंकि वो ऐसा नहीं कि आप कुछ नया ला रहे हो. इन अ वे दैट इट्स नॉट कि अपनी पिक्चर के बारे में कुछ बताइए, कहानी अलग होगी, बट द कैरेक्टर्स आर वेरी अवेयर ऑफ. सो दे नो दैट तुषार इज गोना डू व्हाट ही डज, माय कैरेक्टर इज गोना हैव सम कोक, गोपाल उंगलियां तोड़ेगा, जॉनी भाई भूल जाएंगे. तो वो सारा लव आपको प्रमोशंस में मिलता है. तो आपको थोड़ा ना वो होता है कि आपको पता है कि
But nobody's aged, no, in that. I just feel that all of you who have acted in that, it's not as if any of you have aged. You're still doing those things, and everybody wants you to do the same things in that movie.
We're pushing. I remember Arshad was joking once. He said वो पहले पार्ट में हम लोग ऐसे बाइक पे खड़े आए थे, फिर ऐसे 15वें पार्ट में हम लोग व्हीलचेयर चला के आएंगे.
Typical him, na. I don't think you guys even need dialogue writers because you're so funny on your own.
Now imagine we have very good dialogue writers, so we just
like. But why is Rohit too busy with making these big budget action films?
I know for a fact that he's never going to give up on Golmaal because it's like one of his first babies.
It's like Hera Fairy and Golmaal have to be made by the same teams.
And
they have to make it. They owe it to audiences to make those films again and again, And somehow the magic doesn't, knock on wood, the magic doesn't get diluted with the sequel. I hate watching sequel because I'm so nervous that you're going to take away the magic of the first one. Like I was just talking, this is my favorite story, is that what they did with Mirzapur was like, don't do it. You messed it up. And even Bandish Bandits, you messed it up in the second one, So you're taking away from the magic of the first one. Do you have that sense of nervousness when you do sequels?
It's very scary to do a sequel, because see, in the first one people come with no expectations. But then they find something and they love it and they enjoy it. Now they're going to come to see the second one with expectations. So you are already kind of thinking about that. But as nerve-wracking as it is, it's also exciting to see what you can do.
Do you want to act with Saif, or do you want to act with your mother-in-law? Ever?
Oh, I'd love to. I think they're brilliant. I briefly got a chance to
cast all of you together in one film?
I don't know. I briefly got to work with Saif in Go Goa Gone. So I really enjoyed doing that. But yeah, I mean, it would be lovely to work with these guys, not just because they're family, but also because they're great actors who I really respect the work of.
Give me an update on Go Goa Gone.
Give me an update on Go Goa Gone too. Is my question also.
Is it going to happen?
I really have been wanting it like everybody else. I'm also a fan of the film myself as an audience. Forget that I was in the film myself.
Which car are you going to take for that?
What car?
In the car for that. You have to have, a Goa film has to have a car.
Oh, like that?
It has to be a car.
I will go walking if they make the second one.
Take a bike or something like that, which has to be associated with that.
Yeah, I took a train because nobody had taken that till Madgaon. So I was like, I'll take train lete.
But you know what I mean? You have expectations.
The journey has to be, the travel is very important.
Are you going to make it?
Am I going to make it? If they ask me to, I'll definitely make it.
Lovely. We look forward to it. Thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching or listening to this edition of the ANI Podcast with Smita Prakash. Do like or subscribe on whichever channel you have seen this or heard this. Namaste. Jai Hind.